Just as promised, today we're going to be talking about the character of Christ, which I believe if you want to become a better leader, a better father, a better woman, a better just entrepreneur, business, just whatever you want to do in life, if you can apply these specific examples and teachings that we're going to be talking about today, your life will increase in happiness, meaning, purpose. You will truly be more fulfilled. And you will realize that you can have an impact on other people and influence. And I just think this is just the key to everything. And as you guys know, we're very faith-based driven, so we're going to be talking about Christ's life and how he did it and what was his character. I do know that right now it's very trendy to talk about Christ and all the different things and whatever. And a lot of people are just very self-centered when it comes to their faith. Like, I go to church, I do this for me, I. But when we can think and when we think about Christ's life and his leadership and everything he did, we recognize that he did not come to the world for himself. He came for people. He served. He gave out of himself. He lived 33 years, 30 of those years to prepare so he can perform during those 3 years. And I do believe what we're going to be talking about today, his character is going to be one of the most important things because it shows his true nature and his true identity. Now, I'll start with this. When I talk about the character of Christ, it's turning outward when the natural tendency is to turn inward. And I'll explain why. I do believe as humans, our brain, and we're just wired this way a lot of the times, and this is just our natural tendency, is whenever we're in pain, whenever we're struggling, whenever something's going wrong in our life, we always turn inward. I need help, I need this, I need that, me. And we're very self-centered. But I want to show you guys that the right way, when we're struggling, when we're in pain, or something's off in our life, how Christ did it is literally always turning outward. When the natural tendency is to turn inward. There's a couple stories in the scriptures that I want to relate to you guys. Number one is going to be in John 13. When moments and hours before he was captured, or Judas gave him away, hours before his sacrifice in the Garden of Gethsemane, when he was in so much pain, paying for the price and the sins of the world, that he bled from every pore. Hours before that, he was with his 12 disciples. He washed their feet, and he promised that they're going to have the Holy Ghost, and he prayed for them for peace to come into their life. When he knew that a couple hours later, he was going to be in the most excruciating pain that he was going to ever go through. But instead of praying for him, he prayed for his disciples. He washed their feet. He spent time with them, and he promised that peace was going to come to them. I recalled another time when after he did the ultimate sacrifice in the Garden of Gethsemane, when an angel comforted him, he was bleeding from every pore, and that's when he prayed, Father, please let this cup pass away from me, like literally saying, I don't want to do this, but let thy will be done and not mine. And after he did that, and he rose from praying, and then the soldiers are there and stuff. And I just want to picture this. This is kind of like a Benjamin, my interpretation. But then the disciples are sleeping, and then they wake up because they see all the soldiers coming in. And then Christ is all bleeding and everything, just exhausted from the sacrifice, what he just went through, paying for the sins and the price of the world. So the soldiers come in, they're about to take him. Peter comes in, grabs his sword, and cuts these soldiers' ear off. And I can just imagine that for Christ being in that situation, he was exhausted physically, exhausted spiritually, mentally, just drained from paying such a huge price and all the suffering that he went through. It would have been normal for him to be like, I didn't see it, let's just go, I'm tired. Completely justifiable for him. But he didn't. What did he do? We're reading Luke 22, that he looked at what Peter did. He grabbed the soldier's ear, healed it, and then they took him. And just think about that for a moment. When he was in pain, when he needed help, when he was suffering, when he was completely It was completely justifiable for him not to heal somebody else. He still did it. What does that tell us? What do you guys do when you're in pain? What do you guys do when you're having a bad day? What do we usually do when we're struggling, when we're suffering? And what's the right way to do it? When the natural tendency, when we're in pain, suffering, is to turn inward, we look at everything that Christ did to become an effective leader. And the key when it comes to your fulfillment and your purpose and happiness, which is when the natural tendency is to turn inward, he turned outward every freaking single time. It's just amazing. I admire his leadership and his example when it comes to this principle right here of always focusing on other people. Another example is when he was in the cross, just bleeding again. They mocked him, everything. They hang him on the cross. And then he was still praying for other people in Luke 23 when he was like, God, Father, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. And then he prayed and promised that other thief that was with him that he was going to be in paradise with him. Like he was the one suffering. He was the one that about to die. And what did he do? He still focused on others. He still prayed for other people. Like, I just think it's just amazing. When I think about my life, sometimes I'm so far away just from that. When we're in pain, when we're suffering, when something's going on, I always just focus on me a lot of the times. And I have to remind myself, what would he do? In that same moment, and this when you go back to John 29, but he's in that same timeline, when he's about to die, he talks to John, and he pretty much says, hey, John, take care of my mom. He's literally hanging on the cross, bleeding, about to die. And what is he thinking? Is he thinking about his suffering? Is he thinking about his pain? Is he thinking about what he's going through? He thought about his mother. And he said, John, take care of her. How cool is that? How cool is that the Savior of the world, our biggest example, the best leader that's ever existed, the only perfect man in the universe, always 100,000% of the times, when he was tempted to turn inward, he still focused on someone else. And, that's the big challenge for us, guys. Let me just get this thing out of the way. That's the big challenge for us, guys. How can we, in this so fallen and messed up, corrupted world that we live in, that there's so many distractions and shiny things and shiny objects, we can do what he did, which is this. Focus on people. He knew his purpose. He knew what he came here to do. He knew who he was. And he used all his gifts, all his talents, all his skills, and all his time and energy and faith on people. And I do believe that's why he lived such a perfect life. Now, if we aspire to be like him, if we aspire to be real Christians and real leaders and have impact and influence in the world, we got to turn outward when the natural tendency is to truly turn inward. I'm going to give you guys an example of somebody very close to me. I remember when I first started my 20U, in the beginning it was a clothing brand. We started an online business. But my dream was to become an athlete. I was competing in motocross at the time. That's when I first moved to the U.S. And at the time when I moved to the U.S., my mom was getting a divorce. And it was a very nasty divorce. She's gone through a lot. She's battled with cancer twice. She's the mother of 6 children and lost the first one. Her dad committed suicide, abusive relationship for 32 years. She's struggled. She's somebody that's truly struggled in her life. And I remember when I told her my dream and what I wanted to do and my purpose and my intentions of coming to the States, be an athlete, start my brand and everything. And I just realized that I lacked the funds. I lacked certain things. Because I had like a normal job back in Chile. I was making like $500 a month and whatnot. And I remember I told her my dream and what I wanted to do, what I was going through. And I needed a specific amount of money to start it. And She wired me the money I needed. It was like, I think it was like 6-7 grand at the time. She literally drained her savings account and invested in me when she needed it. Which in her divorce, the most nasty thing was financial battle. And when she could have used that money for something else, when she was in pain, when she was struggling, she thought about her son. And I've never forgotten that, and I've been able to, throughout the 4 years that I've been here in the States, to help her financially when she's needed it. And it's been the coolest thing in the world, trying to pay that debt back, not financially, but of everything she's done for me. And at least in my life, guys, and I'd like to be vulnerable with you guys and personal, but at least in my life, she's been a huge example when it comes to this turning outward when the natural tendency is to turn inward. I do believe that character right there, the character of Christ, is the key to happiness, purpose, meaning, vision, fulfillment in our life. I promise you that you're struggling in your life because you're just thinking about you. The moment you think about other people, you're going to realize two things. Number one, it could always be better. Number two, it can also always be worse. I remember when I started my public speaking career and I started doing a lot of events and stuff, podcasts and all these different things, and just sharing my message with the world. I met this guy that he was an Olympian. Great dude. He was one of my really good friends. He was bobsled, silver medalist in the Olympics here in Utah, Salt Lake. And he spoke at one of our events, and this dude just started sharing his story with me, and he's like 40-something, just great dude, entrepreneur. He's CEO of like different tech companies and stuff, super successful. And we're talking about his life, and he told me, Ben, I was homeless, and my mom was drug addict, prostitute. I was in 13 foster different homes. I was eating from trash cans, and I had a dream, and I never quit, and I started doing all these different things, and I got into sports. He was like ranked number 2nd in the entire world, like a decathlete, something like that, decathlete, whatever, like in all these different things in track and field. And then he got injured, and then he got into bobsled, and then he went to the Olympics and all these different things, and he became this successful story. Actually, the Olympics, they did a documentary on this dude. His name is Bill Schuffenhauer, amazing guy. And when I was talking with him and he was telling me his story, I just realized I always kind of like, at that time I would complain about my life and what I was going through, whatever. But when I started talking to people and looking around, I realized, I'm like, dude, it can always be better, but it can also be way worse. And it was just an example for me that other people, they do have it better, but they also it could be way worse. And it just made me appreciate my life and what I was going through. And it kind of like healed it, because it just made me realize, dude, life is so good. God is so good. And I'm just so grateful for every experience that I've had. And I'm going to use this to help other people and share my path so it can benefit other people's lives. So what I'm saying, guys, if you want to become a better leader, if you want to be truly fulfilled in your life, focus on people. Use and develop the character of Jesus Christ, the best leader in the world, which is when the natural tendency, when you're struggling, when you're in pain or suffering, is to turn inward. He turned outward every single freaking time. And I hope this video can help you become aware, but also that character right there will be the key to the best quality of your life that you can possibly have. I've seen it in my life. I've seen it in other people's lives, and it's something I personally strive to do every single day. And he has brought so much happiness and fulfillment, because I do recognize that God uses our experience to help other people, and we can relate and be an answer to their prayers. So hopefully this video helped. Share it with somebody that you guys can relate to or feel that they need this. Drop down in the comments what you guys think, a question you guys have, and we can talk in the next video. Love you guys. Have urgency. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.